The following is a production of Fenix Media. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the company or its advertisers and may contain language that's unsuitable for younger listeners.
Welcome to the Dogish podcast, the only podcast dedicated to pet parents and the topics, personalities affecting their lives. I'm Sylvia West, dog mom, certified professional dog trainer, and pet expert at Dog Up in This Bitch. And with me, as always, is my fabulous co-host, Miss
Oh, whoa. I feel like mostly fabulous.
Listen, everyone's going to know what happened with the dog dad joke here shortly. So that's me giving you side eye. No,
two dog dad jokes today.
I know he doubled up. It just be prepared for much
amazing
joke enjoyment. Jasen, our next guest is super exciting. Her name is Claudia. We're diving back into the dog sports rabbit hole, by the way. This week we're talking to Claudia about Treibball and Alaska, which sounds so cold.
Very cold.
So I'm ready. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Off we go.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Claudia's coming in from Alaska again. She just got done telling us how hot 70 degrees up there, and they consider getting swimming pools for the dogs around that time.
Yes. Which, as someone...
It's not, right, and it's not 70 degrees now. It's roughly 0 degrees now, but in the peak of the summer, it might get really hot at 70 degrees.
Which, being someone that's...
about the difference.
Yeah, being someone that's from California, I'm like 70. Girl, it gets 102 here in the city. So,
oh my God,
70 doesn't sound very hot to me.
Well, and I've lived in Phoenix where we've tipped into like the 120s.
120. Yeah. Yeah.
But now I got to be so we visited down into Phoenix not too long ago, and after being back in Reno for 6 years now, I'll be out, mowing the grass or something like that, having no clue how I'd be able to tolerate an additional 30 degrees on top of that.
No, it's
hot. But 0 is cold, so I don't know how I would be able to tolerate 70 degrees less than that.
I can dress for the cold, but there's only so much you can take off.
If I may, this is why I live in Southern California, where we get a nice rise, never 120, but also never 0.
I think snowboarding is the way to go.
That's
the winter, just
the end
escape
game.
Alaska in the winter, go somewhere else where it might snow occasionally. I want to see the snow, that's nice, but I want it to go away a little bit faster.
Yeah.
In the summer up here in Alaska, it's beautiful. So summer is beautiful.
So how long is the winter?
So the saying goes, Alaska has 4 seasons, June, July, August, and winter. Which is not exactly true, but it's really definitely clearly 6 months, at least where we are. I mean, I'm in the South Central region, so it's a little bit more coastal here, so it's a little bit more mild here. And so our winter, 6 months from October till April, that's pretty reasonable set.
Wow.
April should disappear now. There's way too much snow out there right now.
So what do the dogs do? Like, do they, I suppose they just adjust to always being cold. Like your dogs probably don't need snowshoes and jackets, or do they?
I do have them for them. If you look at the picture back behind me there, the mostly white dog is the one I have right now, and she has the least coat of all of them. And so she, when she runs around out there, she doesn't need a coat. Even my Jack Russell Terrier didn't want a coat when she was running around out there. But if they're just hanging out there, if they're just hanging out around the car because we're prepping or something like that, and they cannot get into the car yet, that's cold. So that's when they need a coat, when they're hanging out. And booties I put usually on the dogs when it's less than 15 degrees. But that depends on the dogs. Some dogs up here need booties not because it's so cold, but because they snowball up so badly, like golden retrievers. They wear booties in the warm snow because they get so many snowballs.
What's a snowball?
Then the snow collects in their fur and it makes little snowballs, and they look like a Christmas tree with hangings on there, with decoration on there.
Have you never seen this, Sylvia?
Tiny snowballs hang in the fur.
Literally, just said I live in California.
Oh man, somewhere that I'm more of an expert on dog something than Sylvia is. This is amazing.
Listen, there are probably a lot of our listeners who don't live in the snow and have never seen a snowball on a dog. So
That's true.
that
Well, hey,
boggled my mind.
Let's have a quick.
I have to Google it. I'm Googling.
Okay, so
I
let's
need
take
to see
a real
it.
quick conversation about this.
There's wonderful pictures about golden retrievers that are kind of like below their belly line. Everything is just snow, like 50 pounds of snow hanging on them.
I'm just going to hold this up
anymore.
for any of our YouTube people who've never seen snowballs.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
That's ridiculous, but also super cute. But I could see where that would be.
Exactly.
That
So
dog looks miserable.
It's a topic here. Like in most snow areas, especially like I would assume, obviously up in Alaska, but where we have these drastic changes in temperature, and all of a sudden, like on Facebook and social media and all these things, like people trying to let everybody else know that your dog is not necessarily equipped to be living outside in the snow. And if it's cold, then they're cold, and you're a jerk if you leave them outside in the here or there and things like that. But then I always feel a little guilty because you'll see about 100 of those posts, and then you'll see one, maybe two posts of somebody that has like a husky, and the husky's making them look bad because the husky has no desire to come inside, wants to stay outside in the snow, loves it out there. What are some other breeds that do really well up there in the snow, Claudia?
Actually, Labrador Retrievers are doing really well out there. They love it in the snow as well. And then, sure enough, the thicker-coated ones like the Newfoundlands, Landseers, the Flock Guardian dogs, Pyrenees Mountain dogs, and stuff like that. They do all really. They want to be outside. They want to be outside.
No matter how cold it is.
Pretty much, no matter how cold it is. They want to be out of the weather, maybe or so. So you want to have an area for them where they can be out of the wind, and where they can maybe lie down there dry. But even that is not necessarily important. I mean, the Huskies, they know how to curl up in the snow, and they have such good insulation. The snow will never melt underneath them. They will just have a nice little cozy igloo there.
Because they have
That's crazy.
Don't they have a different coat? Don't they have like
they have a
like
double insulated coat.
Yeah. Like a really fine hair underneath, and then the fluffier hair on the outside, right?
And this is why, quick tip, you're never supposed to shave your husky. Also, Pomeranians have this double insulated coat, so don't shave your Pomeranian.
Poms too?
Yeah, Poms have a double insulated coat.
They have a super thick coat, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And when you shave it, it ruins it, and you can actually tamper their natural ability to regulate their own temperature, including in the heat.
Interesting.
I want to real quickly go back to the snowballs. By the way, in Alaska, the snow is most of the time too cold for snowballs. We cannot have snowball fights or anything like that in Alaska very often because the snow is so cold and so dry that you cannot form a snowball unless you let it melt in your hand for super long, and by that time your fingers are frozen. So snowballing is not as often a problem as it is in other areas where the snow is warmer. Where I come from in Germany, for example, we always could make snowballs every time it would snow. So that was totally new to me here in Alaska, that in Alaska you can't make snowballs.
Okay, on that note, we're going to take a really quick break.
I can see Sylvia.
My brain is
I want to say melting down, but we'll say just freezing up, having no idea what to say.
All right.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in '09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see, every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments, it doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at fenixmedia.us.
Okay, so we're back here with Claudia, who, contrary to popular belief, we did not bring on to talk about snow and Alaska. We actually brought her to talk about the crazy, wild, and wonderful world of dog sports. And Claudia happens to be an expert trainer of trainers for the sport Treibball, which probably most of our listeners don't know what that is. So, Claudia, do you want to explain to everybody what Treibball is?
So in Treibball, the original idea or the original game was that there would be a goal, like a soccer goal, and the handler would stand in that goal. And in front of them on the soccer field, basically half a soccer field, would be 8 balls, and they're exercise balls, the size of exercise balls for a regular sized dog. I mean, they can be smaller for smaller dogs. And these balls are kind of shaped in a triangle form, like a billiard on a billiard table.
Okay.
And the point of the triangle is away from the handler. And they need to send the dog out behind that triangle, behind that, what we call the point ball. And then they need to start bringing the point ball by themselves into the goal without too much help from the handler. I mean, the handler can in the goal go right and left and give verbal cues and visual cues and everything. But the dog is on its own about what it takes to delegate that Treibball into the goal. And in the end, they need to bring all 8 balls into the goal, and the faster the better. That was the original game. They have developed that sport into a lot more than that. They play other games now where the balls are like out there on the field. There might be less balls out there for beginners. Now it's only 3 balls for beginners. And they are in different formations out there. And then sometimes they say bring ball 1 first, and then ball 2, and then ball 3. And then so they have different orders maybe for the balls. Then they might even have a specific freestyle challenge. They do that too now. They call them Treibball freestyle challenges, where they say you need to first surround all the balls 1 time and then come back to ball number 1 and pick it up first. And then you have to surround ball number 2 individually, and then you got to go to ball number 3 and bring that one home. And, you know, different ideas on what to do. So actually, it's more than just pushing balls. The number 1 goal is that the ball learns to push the ball towards you and not just anywhere around in the yard, like a lot of dogs like to do that already probably. By the way, the goal is also not to destroy the ball because it's just the ball with air filled. So they're pretty.
So hold on a second. I just want to like clear something up. So you're talking about like a yoga ball, like a big, like a inflatable, like you might sit on one of these at your desk.
Exactly.
Ball, and
they're going up to your knee, those balls. They're pretty big. Exactly.
Okay. So if I'm looking at the photo behind you, so your border collie, the white one, is going to push with their nose a giant inflatable ball into a goal where you're standing. So you can't go on the field and like corral your dog to push the ball right? No.
Exactly. No, I can't.
You're stuck. How far is the goal from the balls?
That depends on the level of the dog, but that can go up to 20 meters, which is about 60 feet.
That's far.
So your dog's just like,
run out there, go get the ball. It's kind of like fetch for them, so they learn kind of to fetch
60
the ball.
feet and a giant ball, bigger than their body.
About, a little bit bigger, That's about shoulder height, I think. And the reason why you want a bigger ball is because they're not allowed to use their paws to push the ball. Okay. So if the ball is too small, they will actually try to go on top of it with their paws, and they're not allowed to do that. So bigger is actually better, so that they really stick with the rule of pushing it with nose, head, or chest, but not with the paws.
No feet allowed.
No feet allowed.
So like this one, not that she'd ever do Treibball. Maybe though.
For her, there would be smaller balls. I mean, you would do smaller balls for the small dogs. Yes, it can be done with any dog, any size, because they will adjust the ball size for the dog.
I mean,
I can see you working through all of this.
Well, I'm trying to I've seen probably what is more considered like freestyle. I'm just trying to okay. So now what happens? This is how my brain works. So what happens if your dog goes out to the triangle, which I'm literally envisioning like when you set a pool table up, like the little triangle, right? You rack your balls. So they've got like a rack of giant balls on a giant pool table, which is a field. The dog goes out and they get that first ball. Do they break all the other balls apart, or they have to push that first ball without touching any of the other balls?
That is a very good question. It's actually just like in billiard. They're supposed to push the first ball so hard that it pushes all the other balls out of position.
That's like
so that they are now actually sprinkled over the field.
Okay, so but the flat part of are they in the shape of a triangle? That's why it's called Treibball, right? So do they when they break it, do they go around to the top and then come back towards you to break it? They don't break through the bottom, right?
No, they don't break through the bottom. You're correct. They are going to the tip, just like the point ball, just like in billiard, you go to the tip and push that first ball against the tip, and that pushes all the other balls out of position.
Is there an out of bounds? Like, what if they break it and the balls like fly off the field? What happens?
Usually those fields are fenced in physically, so they put a physical fence up there so that the balls cannot get out. But there are some competitions where there is actually just a borderline on the ground with like surveyor tape on the ground or something.
I mean, that feels impossible.
And there, it's really important for the dogs that they catch the balls that are like by the wind blown towards the tape. They're going to run after those balls first. So that's why it's super important for the handler to be able to tell the dog, stop this ball right now, stop right there, and go to the other ball first and pick the other ball up first, because that's about to blow out of our field, and then this ball is not valid for us anymore, so we can't bring that in anymore.
This is a whole nother level of communication.
I mean, I knew dogs were smart, but like, okay, I'm just trying. So now as a trainer, like this is where my brain is like, because I'm just trying to think about like how in the heck you train a dog.
See, I've always wanted.
Starting with a closer distance for sure. You wouldn't start with such a far distance. You don't start until you're like, hey, go out there and get that ball 20 meters away or something, So it has to all start with a very close distance. and has to start with teaching the dog specific basics. There's
So what's one of those basics?
One of those basics is that you just teach the dog that they need to be on the other side of the ball. I mean, just go to the other side of the ball and face me. That is one major task that they need to learn, because if they don't understand, they need to go to the other side of the ball first before they can push it, then they will never push it to me. So
right, because they need to push the ball towards you.
Towards me, always, exactly.
So they have to learn to like go around. So I think, so even more basic than that, they've got to learn pivots.
It comes with the territory, I would say, because they want to face me, because they want to see what the next input is that I have to give them. Right. So they do want to, but yes, you're right. I mean, when I teach my dogs, when I teach the dogs to go to the other side, I teach them, number one, that the nose is on the other side first. That's step number one. And step number two will be that butt comes around too, so that they're actually really across from me. Exactly.
So that's like okay, Jason, this is where we're going to get real like dog nerd.
Let me see it.
But that's, so you're talking now about like hind end awareness and really kind of getting them to
a little bit,
because most dogs don't spin their butts around, right? Like they'll spin face first. Okay, Jason. So if you envision your dog like Max trying to go around in a circle, he's going to spin with his head. Yeah. Which what they need to do is keep their nose stationary and spin their butt around their nose.
Gotcha.
So
exactly,
that would be step one, I guess. If you at home are like, how do I teach my dog to go around the ball? You have to teach them how to pivot their hind end around.
Exactly. And what we also use for that, we actually use for that little targets, which is a place on the ground where they need
like
to put
a bowl
their
or
front
something
feet on. Exactly. It's something where they need to put their two front feet on. And it could be like a tipped over bowl, like you said, a turned over bowl. So it's a little bit higher for the front feet in the beginning. That makes it easier to teach them that. And when you teach them a specific spot to be on with their two front feet, and their front feet have to stay on there no matter what, then it's easier for them to then pivot that hind end around. And that spot we will place behind that ball, and then it all comes together. So that's a little bit of a help sometimes to put that spot behind the ball so that they know where to go there, and then swing the hind end around without moving the front feet.
There you go. There you, yeah, you get them to spin around, and now you can be a Treibball champion just like that.
Exactly. almost. Then we teach them,
Treibball winner.
We teach them go more this way, more to the right, more to the left, or go right around the ball or left around the ball. Go around all the obstacles counterclockwise, or go around all the obstacles clockwise. Go around one single ball clockwise or counterclockwise. That ends in a little bit freestyle techniques where you want to teach them different cues for the different things, kind of.
So what are some of those cues? Like, are we using clickers? Are we just using voice commands? Are we just randomly clapping and making odd noises with our voices? Like I can only imagine, like, as a novice, some random person just flailing and wailing and coming up with weird things versus like a pro is like clack, clack, and the dog knows how to do 13 different tricks based on that.
We're not like the hunting people where we do whistles or something like that, but we use regular cues, verbal cues, and the hand signals for sure too. I mean, the arm out all the way this way is go that way, right? Usually. But when we use verbal cues, we have actually started using them from the herding community, because in the beginning it was kind of thought that Treibball, which is the German word for driving a ball, Treib means driving and ball is the ball. Treibball was actually invented kind of with the idea in mind that herding dogs could herd exercise balls around.
So it's kind of like an urban herding, where like instead of herding, you're herding. Wow. Okay.
Exactly.
I think this is a good place to pause. We're going to take a quick break, and more on this when we come back.
The stores are bringing me a baby brother. We can do this together!
All right, let's go!
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't? Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No.
Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this!
You will rock this!
To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan.
Separated.
We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
Idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
the most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Message.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
That'll be $73.11.
Do you have a charity that I can donate a buck to?
You just did.
But I didn't select any option.
It happened just by using your credit card. We recently changed our payment processing to Gratis Gives, who not only saves our company a ton of money on processing fees, but also donates a portion of every purchase to a participating local nonprofit.
Why doesn't every business do that?
If they switch to Gratis Gives like we did, they can.
Achieve real social change by contacting Gratis Gives at 855-464-7284 or online at gratisgives.com.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at fenixmedia.us.
Okay, so full transparency, this isn't the first time that we've talked to Claudia. I actually had a bit of a snafu and we messed up her first recording. But one of the things that, and I apologize, Claudia, like we need to make that as an apology to everybody. But one of the things that you taught me last time, which was still fascinating, and I've been teaching the kids and stuff, that like all of these complex tricks and maneuvers and putting your hands out and all this stuff really starts with just getting them to come to two fingers, right?
To touch your two fingers, exactly. That's a good start with every dog.
Like that was such an easy place for me to really start, and we've been mixing it in here and there, but it was just like using foods and treats. Like what were some of the nuances again to making sure that to really be able to get their attention?
So you want me to show you the trick again? How to
Yeah.
Very good. So basically you have treats in the one hand and you have the two fingers here. And if you put your two fingers down towards your dog, but not directly in the face, the dog will come to those fingers and will look at that and say, hey, what are these two fingers doing there? And in that moment, you mark that's exactly what you wanted. That's where we use a clicker for usually, but you can mark it with a marker word as well, like, yes, you did the right thing. And in the moment, as soon as you have marked that correct behavior, afterwards, you're giving them that cookie. So first thing, offer them your fingers, then they touch those fingers. Mark that correct behavior of touching your fingers with a marker, yes or click. And then afterwards, give the dog a treat for that. So every marker is always followed with a cookie. There's no exception to that. So whenever you mark a behavior, you follow with a reward so that they learn, number one, this is what I needed to do. Number two, I will get a reward for this one.
And I thought that was just such a
and then
perfect,
you can make it more
start.
complicated eventually. Yep, it's super, super nice, but it actually delegates your dog, because as soon as you can delegate where the dog's nose goes, you can delegate where your dog goes. And if it's your fingers, it will always be around you somewhere and never out there anywhere else, because your fingers are with you. So you will get your dog with you. You will keep your dog with you. You can play tag games with that and tell your dog, hey, run along with me. Here's my fingers. Come on, touch them, you know. You can have exercise games with them. You can teach tricks with them. Like you can teach the trick of spin around in a circle by making them follow those fingers. You can teach them to sit up by bringing their nose up. You can teach them to lay down by bringing their nose to the floor. So you can teach them behaviors, anything. I mean, there's, I think the sky is the limit, I would say, right?
I mean, apparently we're literally talking about training dogs to run around balls, push them into a goal while you stand 60 feet away. So yeah, sky is definitely the limit.
So what's the most difficult trick? So we just learned, like, here's the easiest one. What would you say is the pinnacle or something that's really difficult to teach them to do?
The actual game of Treibball.
Right.
Exactly. It's not an easy game to teach. So there's not much to it in the form of how many different things they need to know. But then putting these all together and then creating the distance and being able to do that all at a huge distance, that is hardcore work. There's no question about it. So getting them to actually go out, like just even, let's say, 10 feet, and at 10 feet distance, have them circle a ball and then push the ball to you. That's already a major task for the dog. Teaching them to direct the ball correctly so that they actually learn, I need to push a specific way and not just like hit the ball somehow, so that they learn to be responsible for the action of where the ball goes and to kind of stay with the ball so that they can actually adjust where the ball is rolling to. That steering of the ball, that takes a lot of practice and a lot of specific exercises to help the dog to figure that out, how they do that, and to even that they need to do that. So that's already like a year in the making right there, I would say, until they have learned
a year. So
with somebody.
So just some of the basics are taking you about a year.
Just a year.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say it's very. I like the sport, not because it takes a year to get there, but because of the way how to get there. Because there's so many things I can do, and because it's so easy to do that. I can do that at home. I mean, I don't even need a ball. I can do so many. I mean, 90% of the exercises are not about the ball. 90% of the exercises are other things that I don't even need a ball for. So I can actually, in my house, I just set a chair out there and I say, hey, I want you to circle the chair. And I can actually exercise my dog in the house on rainy days or when I'm just too lazy to go outside or whatever. Or
it's 0 degrees.
Right, or it's 0
degrees, exactly.
And there's snowballs everywhere.
I have my dog go around the kitchen island right and left, and I teach her the cues for, hey, go around the kitchen island this way, clockwise, go counterclockwise. And I'm trying to teach her different words for that. So going back to what are the words for these Treibball directions for these different moves. From the herding community, we have taken over the cues come by and away to me. Come by is the word for come by the clock, which means that the dog has to surround the flock, the sheep, clockwise, by the clock. So that's come by the clock. And then if you want them to come away from that, so counterclockwise, that's called away to me. And some people just say away, and don't say the away to me. I have to admit that somehow I have a learning disability there, and I was never able to remember that. So I was like, okay, come by means come by the clock, that's clock, the clock goes this way. Okay, that's the way. So it took me like five different thinkings until I finally was, okay, come by, it's this one. So that was always too long for me. So I needed to have something faster. So I just taught my dog clock and counter. That's how I call them, just clock and counter, because it's faster for me. I still have to think about the clock, But now that was much, much faster in my head. So clock is going clockwise and counter is going counterclockwise. And that's how I use them now.
Works
That
for
makes
me.
sense. Yeah.
And you
That
get to
makes
just
way more
choose whatever words you want. So like you mentioned a year, and so a year to get some of the basics, I'm assuming that this is a year of pretty intense training, whether it's daily but even at the end of the year, are they ready to compete?
Faster, probably. I have to say that I'm not necessarily a daily trainer, so a few times a week, maybe 2-3 times a week if you work on it, 1 time a week to a class maybe, and then at home 2 to 3 times, a little bit more training. That should do the trick.
And then are they ready to compete at that level, or is there still a lot more to learn?
They can probably start to compete as long as there's so many other things to compete. I mean, if you really go to a competition, then your dog has to be okay with all the surroundings there, other dogs there, being in a different area and doing the same thing in a different area all of a sudden. So depending on your dog, if your dog is doing what the other dog sports and Treibball is just a new sport, then yes, after a year, I think you can compete. But if your dog is brand new to everything and needs to also learn to do Treibball in different environment first, maybe go out in a yard first. First, we have only done it at the dog training facility, maybe only indoors. Now they have to do it outdoors. Now they have to actually learn outdoors in a different venue, maybe in your own yard or somebody else's yard or in a public park or something, dog park, not dog park probably, but just a park somewhere on a field or something like that. So that, and then the tournament experience of there's other dogs barking in the background, there's people walking around and stuff. So there's so many more distractions that they have to work through as well. Them staying a full beginner probably will need a little bit longer to work on these things just as well.
So how long have your dogs been training for this?
So here we go.
She says, best answer to a question ever.
Yeah, here comes my little confession. I'm living in Alaska. In Alaska, we do not have competitions.
Wow.
So I'm off the hook with competitions, which reveals that I do the sport not because of the competition, but because I just love the activity with the dog.
Wow.
I actually, the dogs in my background, I have 2 black and white dogs in there. And these 2 black and white dogs, the one that is more black and less white, she's an Australian Shepherd Husky cross, just to tell the people that can't see the picture. Australian Shepherd Husky cross. And on the picture, she's already like 15 years old. She was the dog that I had for 16 years. And I did Treibball with her for 10 years.
Wow.
Even though I never competed with her in a competition, in a Treibball competition, I was actually taking part with her 16 years, 18 years ago. Holy smokes. 18 years ago, I was competing with her in a what's called a World Treibball League, which is kind of an online challenge where the host gave us challenges every 2 weeks throughout the winter. And every 2 weeks, we would videotape ourselves, practice that challenge, videotape ourselves, and then submit that video on time before the next challenge would come out. And so she participated she was back then already.
18 years ago, there was online challenges?
No, that's wrong. 2013. It was 2013. So it was 8 years ago. So that's what it was, 8 years ago. I knew it was 2013 it was. So
okay.
Yeah, because she was already 10 years old by that time and she was grandma. She was participating grandma. And because I didn't start the sport with her until she was like 7 or something like that. And so by the time she was 10, I was competing in that online challenge. The other dog that I have in the picture here on the right, that's mostly white and a little bit black, she is an Alaskan Husky with the border collie, with the high border collie content, like 12.5% or so. She looks a little bit like a very sprint type dog. She looks like there's some greyhound in her as well, maybe because she's so fine built. And she is my new Treibball dog, and I'm practicing Treibball with her kind of on and off for about 2 years. I had a break of half a year when I didn't really do much with her because I worked on other things. But so on and off 2 years, I would say. And she is ready. She has done some online challenges now too, where we work on practices, work on skills, and then submit videos already starting last fall. So we have done that with her.
Okay, well, I'm going to jump in because it's time to take a break.
Okay.
Dear John, I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to when you checked on me? I don't want to leave, but remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart and don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range today. For help keeping yours at a healthy range, text PRESSURE to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take one.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to sell all your belongings and live in a commune.
These dungarees belong to all of us now, Tom.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman!
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school, so I'm trying to break that barrier.
My daughter, Brooklyn, was also a motivation for me to go back to school.
Every day after work, went straight to school, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at phoenixmedia.us.
We're back.
Okay, we can be back now. Okay, yeah, so I was curious, like, we can't leave out number 3 there, so who's that?
Number 3 is my sweetest dog ever. That's Chinook, and she is a true Alaskan Husky, and true in the sense of a true sled dog, because Alaskan Huskies are actually bred to be sled dogs. And she is a true sled dog. She was born as a sled dog in a mushing kennel. And she actually has participated in long-distance racing. She actually was in the Iditarod, which is a 1,000-mile race in the Alaskan wilderness.
1,000 miles? Were you on the sled, or was someone else on the sled?
No, not me. Not me. Actually, she was with a friend of us, Jeff Dieter. She was raised in our kennel. We had a sled dog kennel. My husband was running the Iditarod twice, but she was too young at that point. She was only 1.5 years old when we actually retired from mushing and sold the sled dog team to somebody else who would continue the sport, because sled dogs need to work, so they need to do something. So for them, it's actually better to give them to somebody who will raise them rather than to have them sit in the yard and just grow old. And she was only 1.5 years old, definitely too young to sit in the yard and do nothing. So the sled dog team was sold to some other musher, but to a good friend of ours. And she was actually running the Iditarod with him and finishing with him to Nome. And then I did get her back as a retiree. She actually ended up going to another musher yet and stayed with that musher for a while, also a friend of ours. And that musher needed to eventually reduce kennel size. And she knew that I told her I would take the dog back. So I got the dog back when she was only 7 years old. And then she grew old with us until she was about 14.
Wow. So, okay. I've
never been a sport dog, by the way. She was never a sport dog. She was just a wonderful run-along farm dog with us. So that was what she wanted to be, a run-along farm dog.
Oh, I love that.
Well, can I ask how long 1,000 miles?
Wait, I have a question.
I know, but I'm worried that you were going to like switch topics. And I'm like,
Jasen.
1,000 miles. That is so in the snow with snowballs all over the place.
100 miles a day.
100 miles a day.
She just said Alaska snow is not, it's too cold to make snowballs.
Some days, not all days.
Jason, you need to listen to our host spinners.
Those dogs do not get snowballs. No. And those dogs don't have the fur for snowballs. I mean, you cannot have a dog in there that gets snowballs. There's no way.
So 10
days.
Yeah,
Jason.
So cool. I've seen some of those videos before and I've heard about that race, but I don't really know much of the details. So I didn't realize.
You can invite me another time for this topic.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
Seriously.
Okay. You're on deck. You're up.
Oh yeah. Thanks. Oh wow.
Take a swing.
Thank you, Jason.
Let me see what you got.
Thank you so much. My question was for all of our listeners who don't live in Alaska and can't sled 1,000 miles, but might want to try a Treibball at home. I'm going to go out. I'm going to buy a giant. Well, I don't have big dogs, so I'm going to buy a small exercise ball.
You're going to buy kickballs?
I'm going to buy kickballs that come up to my dog's shoulders. Correct? That's the sizing?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
How do I get them to push the ball with their face?
I tell you what, I wouldn't even buy a ball yet. The best way to actually start this is if you don't use a ball, but use other objects to practice first. And going back to the pushing of the finger, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can actually have them touch other things. So they can touch fingers, they can touch cooking spoons, they can touch little toys, toys on wheels, for example, kids' toys on wheels. And you can teach them with the cooking spoon already that they should not just touch it, but they should touch it harder. Mm-hmm. And so they learn to touch the harder, and then they learn to touch even harder. And so they're moving it. And so you teach them to move it. You can also, in that same context, you can teach them to like touch a door and close a door. So then when the door moves, that's a good thing. They're learning that moving something is a good thing. That's what you want from them. Not that they're getting scared. Like sometimes kids get scared. Oh, I think I broke something. And the dogs are the same way. Something moves. They're like, oh my God, I think I broke something. Or they get scared of the movement and say, oh God, that moved now. That scared me. So either way, but a lot of times moving really scares them. So you need to teach them that moving something is a good thing, and then touching it on the other side of yours again. So teaching them right from the get-go that if they can touch that kids' toys on wheels on the other side over there, maybe put a little Post-it sticker on there and say, this is what I want you to touch. Here's the Post-it sticker, right? Put the Post-it stickers in your house around. Say, yeah, you got the Post-it sticker. That's where you touch, right? And then put the Post-it sticker back on the cart or wheel, on the little wheeled object, and then have them push there. And when it moves, like, yay, it moved, great. So that's the first thing you would do, is really actually get them to move something else but a ball. So you don't want to start with a ball. You want to get the behavior first on other objects, and then you transfer that to the ball once they know to use their paw. That way you don't have to undo wrong behaviors. Like if you start with the ball too early, a lot of times what happens when people come to us and they're like, oh, my dog can already push the ball, so it's super easy for me to learn Treibball. So what do I do? And we're like, okay, we got to undo a few things here. So we're actually correcting some things. Number one, don't just push the ball anytime, anywhere. You need to actually only push the ball when I tell you to, but you can't just go and push the next best ball. You need to really wait for me to tell you. So the number one thing that we need to undo in dogs that already know how to push a ball is that we need to teach them only push if I tell you to. So that's the same thing with the kids' toy. You can also teach your dog right there already, only push it if I tell you to. And then
I could just imagine like a very exuberant dog would be like,
exactly,
push the ball and the ball moves. And then they're like, ball. And then they go attack the ball.
Exactly. They go blasting after the ball and then race after the ball. Exactly. That can be good, but it can also, so it shows enthusiasm. That's a good thing, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes we have to then say, hey, really, this is not exactly the right way. They need to really steer it better and they need to really bring it to us. So yeah, there's a little bit more to that. And then teaching them that there's other things to do around a ball. When the ball is present, I want you to still listen to me. Like, can you sit? Can you lay down? Can you walk around the ball without touching it? Can you stay far enough away from the ball so you don't even touch it with your shoulder so it really doesn't move? That's a very hard one if the dogs really like the balls. They want to, even when they just go around the ball, they go so tight around the ball that they're actually just pushing the ball with the shoulder and the ball rolls away already before they even get to the point behind the ball. So yeah, so a lot of different things to teach them first before the ball gets even involved. And then to kind of undo, or they're going with the paw for the ball and stuff like that. So that's something needs to be undone too sometimes.
So do you coach a lot of people with this stuff? Like I know there's not a lot of competitions and you do the online stuff, but are you coaching a lot of people?
No, it's a small niche right now at this point. There's definitely other sports that are growing faster than Treibball, which I don't really understand why.
Me neither. I'm all gung ho. I'm gonna start teaching Juniper to Treibball.
I have just filled another Treibball beginner class right now, so I'm starting another Treibball beginner class, so I'm looking forward to start that actually this week. That will be a lot of fun, but I don't offer beginner Treibball classes as often as I offer like agility classes or something. So the agility classes are still the things where the people are like, oh yeah, obstacles, and this is so great, and so they see something more there going on, and it's like, it's a little bit easier in agility to say, hey, here's an obstacle. I teach you how to get your dog over that safely. And then the dog does it, and that's good. And then they feel that's all the dog needs to learn there. And then we can, by the way, later on, in between the obstacles, sneak in that there's a lot more to agility as well, like directional changes and all that stuff, and handler pathway changes and stuff. So there's a lot more, but I can sneak that in between the obstacles later on. Where in Treibball, it needs to be upfront already more. And then people get a little bit frustrated sometimes with, yep, that goes much slower than I thought. And I thought my dog would be faster just playing Treibball. So because it looks like so easy, it's just some balls and nothing else. But yeah, there's a lot more to it.
But you do, but there are
so much distance control over my dog.
But you do offer a lot of coaching for other sports.
Yes, we do. Besides Treibball, we do agility. We get people into rally obedience. Nose work is another sport. So there's a lot of good sports out there, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. I hate to interrupt.
Oh, jeez. Again.
But we're here. We're at the end of the show. That's it.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
Your questions are done, Jason. No more from you.
I would have had time for one more if you wouldn't have stopped me earlier.
Actually, excuse you. I was being kind. The timer ran out like 3 minutes ago, and I just let you go, Jason, with your curiosity.
Okay.
But Claudia, because you've done this before, you already know what we need to do right now. So hopefully Jason's prepared something new for you.
I got you.
He's got a big stack of dog dad jokes over there.
I'm actually running out. I'm running thin.
Oh, boy.
Our future guests may get some really bad ones. But I've got a good one today.
Okay, good. Let's
You ready?
hear it. As I'll ever be.
Why did the Australian Shepherd keep crossing the road?
I don't know.
She's ready.
His owner was throwing a boomerang.
That was a good one?
Yeah.
What else is in that pile?
Yeah, he was trying to fetch a boomerang, so he kept on going back and forth. Poor guy. Who would do that? That's not nice.
Oh, Lord.
There, I was thinking about the stripes of the pedestrian crosswalk, and maybe he was trying to hurt the stripes of the pedestrian crosswalk.
Yeah, I thought it was like an Australian thing because boomerangs are maybe Australian. I read too much into it.
Yeah, probably.
Do you want a different one? I can give you. Let's
no,
see.
it's okay. That we got the one we got. We got
okay.
the one.
All right.
It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Can it get worse from here or just better? What do you think?
Apparently, it's getting worse.
Here, get this. Here, no. Let me give you another one. Let me.
No.
Yeah. Ready?
I think one is enough.
No. Here you go.
Okay.
What the dog say to the tree?
To the tree?
To the tree. Bark.
Stand still, I gotta pee.
Bark.
Yeah, that's better. That is better.
Oh my goodness. It was easier to understand. So I feel like I think Claudia and I were just too intellectual for the boomerang one. We were both like Australian Shepherd.
You guys were like in your training brains.
Yeah, listen, we just had a training conversation. Right. What do you expect from us?
We're talking about Treibballs. I'm thinking herding, Australian Shepherd herding.
Totally. And I was thinking, is an Australian thing, mate?
You were on the right track with the Australian thing because it was a boomerang, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
All right.
You were totally on the right track.
Well, Claudia, thanks so much for bearing us again.
Thanks for having me. We might have another conversation about the Iditarod, about 1,000 miles in the snow.
Yes, I would love to sit and talk about that.
Definitely, yeah.
We'll set that up for sure.
Definitely. We would love that.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on today's podcast. Thank you, Claudia from A Better Companion, for coming in and enlightening us on so much different stuff. Everything from running races that are 1,000 miles long in Australia to
Alaska. What is wrong with
Oh, my joke was at Australia. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're all
Alaska,
over the continent.
Australia, they're pretty much the same place. But especially about Treibball, like that was amazing on the amount of commands and what you can do and build that bond. So thank you guys so much, and thank you for joining us. As always, all of Claudia's information is going to be down in the show notes over at dogishpodcast.com. Give her a follow, check her out, and if you're looking at anything that is sports related, I really enjoy listening to Claudia and how she breaks down all those training tips. So connect with her as well. And lastly, if there's any topics, events, or personalities that you want us to feature on the show, make sure to reach out and let us know. And be sure, if you're not already, hit that subscribe button so you can be up to date on all of the exciting guests that we have coming up. We have so much more information that we're blasting you with, interviews that I cannot wait for you guys to hear. So subscribe, know when we're here. But if you're not, then every Tuesday, 1 p.m. And tell your friends. Like send it to your dog groups and just all. Like, hook up your fellow dog moms and dog dads. Come on, guys. Make it happen. Okay. Awesome. Bye, guys.